Papua New Guinea. You're watching the 6th episode of Business PNG for the year 2015. There are a range of mechanisms by which births or deaths may be recorded by government agencies in Papua New Guinea. Although these largely function as independent systems and formal registrations remain fairly incomplete, the national government has identified the rollout of a national identification system as a core priority. This will provide key opportunities to strengthen the current birth and death reporting systems. Good evening, viewers, and welcome to another episode. Tonight on the show, I have with me Mr. Rocco Koloma, PNG National Statistician, as well as the PNG NID Director, as well as Mr. Dixon Keragi, Registrar General. Good evening, sirs. Welcome to the show.
Good evening. Good evening to viewers.
So straight to it, Mr. Koloma, first of all, tell us what the NID system is. For a lot of viewers out there, we're not too sure about it, so in layman terms, can you explain it or elaborate further?
Any ID card system is meant to identify a particular person or individual, as we. So, for us, we have, in layman terms, you have a driver's license, you have an ID for the office, and for EMTV guys, when you come in, you have an ID system that allows you to get to, so that it is really you are. For the national ID card, I think the government has now decided that we should have ID for every person who is 18 years and above, and that is the reason why we have decided. So it's a simple ID system that we want to make sure that every individual is identified according to who they are.
Sure. So why is this NID system so important to Papua New Guinea right now?
I'll allow the Direct Registrar General to say his bit, but when you look back at the registration process over the last 40 years, it has not generated, as statistics is concerned, the kind of information that we want. So when you look at it, it is very, very important. I must stress again, very, very important, because as per civil registry is concerned in the country, we need to understand that registration of births, registration of deaths, marriages are important numbers, so that government knows where to provide resources as per government is concerned in making sure that where money is placed. At the moment, we only have in censuses every 10 years, and I know I will explain further on that. Yeah, but I'll allow Dixon to talk about the importance of civil registry in the country.
Sure. The importance of why our national ID card, I think it's just simple. It's now a normal business requirements for any person that is interacting, whether with a public entity or private sector. ID verification is almost now becoming a prerequisite.
Sure.
And if you have multiple types of ID, then there is no way of really proving if that person who claims to be by way of that ID is really that person. And so you can see the importance of having a national ID card is really an offshoot of, if you like, a birth certificate. Birth certificate is the breeder document. But with the ID card, rather than just being a name, place of birth and date of birth, we are now putting a face and a fingerprint to it. So that really completes the essential aspects of giving an ID. Legally, any other IDs in the country do not have any proof. There's no legal proof to it. The ID card is now the only legal proof document that establishes the identity of an individual, and this will supersede any other forms of ID. I think that is the basis of it.
Basically, that is the intention of government, is to make sure that in future, this is a system that will assist integration into other forms, and you can see from the poster what is the benefits of the NID, voting, banking, applying for passport. And in the country now, a lot of rural people, population suffers from trying to identify themselves before they open a bank account. So really, this is an effort to ensure that people are empowered through this this process and also the ID card. So it's a national card for us.
Yeah.
So you use it to go and do banking and do whatever
Yeah.
you want. Yeah, so,
Alright.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. So is there a project formulation document available that the public can go and access?
Project formulation documents are prepared as part of the projects,
Mm-hmm.
and national ID card is a project for government,
Yeah.
and that has to be cleared through the Department of National Planning before it can be accessed by people. But
Yeah.
really, it's a government document, so
Yeah.
it will take time to have
Okay.
access to it. But otherwise, NEC decisions have been made, as part of the 97/2013 NEC decision. The document itself and recommendations made through the decision is to ensure that one, we need to build a trustworthy system, which is the national database, which eventually will be called the Population Information Management System
Sure.
database. And from that, we can generate the ID cards that we are talking about. So
Okay.
as we talk about processes, we need to understand that infrastructure is important to run this database. That's why we have invested in a big company to come and help us develop it. Because in Papua New Guinea, we don't have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So in this database that you speak of, what information will be collected?
Well, basically, it's the form. There's a registration form, enrollment form, or bed registration form. So I'll put it to the viewers like this. There is a process, and there is what we call a life cycle. The life cycle starts with a child being born,
Yep.
and through this system, we want to ensure that the bed is registered.
Okay.
So once the bed is registered, you are in the system.
All right.
If you don't register, you're not in the system. So it's simple as that. But within the bed and death, the process of integration, they are going to school, applying for passport, as I mentioned, healthcare. These are systems that it will help the government to progress those. So life management system is basically what Mr. Kiragi is going to be. And maybe, Mr. Kiragi, you might want to add on to your experience in helping them develop this system.
Well, the national database contains two key elements. It contains the national register, which is a register of births, marriages, deaths, divorce,
Yep.
and any other changes that the person goes through within its life cycle. And it also generates the population information.
Okay.
And you can understand, both of us administer
Yeah.
two particular legislations.
Yeah.
And I'm responsible for gathering information.
Okay.
Mr. Koloma is responsible for generating the population and statistical information. So you can see the rationale is that the national database now establishes the platform. Platform, and that's for the first time in the country. We are now, we've progressed to that level.
Okay.
And I think that's a good start for the country. So, give us another 5 more years down the line. We can have an updated register of, all the deaths and marriages. And we can also have annual, updates on, the statistical information. So I think, the Papua New Guinea should be happy and be proud that we now have a more coordinated system, which is now the basis of our reform.
For me, it's an appeal to the people of Papua New Guinea.
Okay.
People of Papua New Guinea must realize that this is an opportunity for us to progress the country. And in many ways, the current government have really seen the areas that we need to improve on, based on the experiences that we have had in the past.
Sure.
So the appeal is to leaders at any level, both at the national, provincial, local level government, community leaders, the churches. This project alone, from my view, is about our people. And if we are serious about progressing the nation, moving forward into the next 5 years or 10 years, and meeting all our strategic plans, including the Vision 20 about having coming to a middle income nation, such systems are very important. And the reason is that we need very good statistics to monitor and evaluate progress in any stage of our growth. So for me, it's just coming forward, registering yourself will make a big difference.
Welcome back. Before the introduction and implementation of the National ID system, the Office of the Registry General was the official registration agency and therefore the department that issued the legal certificate of births and deaths. There are a limited number of registration points, with families required to visit the national office in Port Moresby, except for births in the National Hospital, which may be registered on site. Work on the NID rollout to date has included testing a combined birth registration and identity form, provincial meetings to build community and administrative support, and significant infrastructure developments. So the function of registering births and deaths in PNG is the responsibility of the Civil Registry's Office. What is the role of the Civil Registry Office under the NID system approach?
Well, the NID is integrated as part of the PNG Civil and Identity Registration System, which means that we have developed a system where you have only one registration, and you register at the time of registering either your birth, but at the same time that form also gives you the necessary information to generate a national ID card. So I think in terms of being cost conscious and to simplify the process, we have actually just one particular form that is used purposes of registering the birth and for NID. So you can see where we are integrated. The law also enables Mr. Coloma as the national statistician to be able to also access the system. We have also gone one step further. The statutory appointments for him as the registrar, which means that he now, by way of that appointment, statutory appointment, gives him the powers now to administer the registrations through a mobile right across the country. So you can see we are collaborating at every level to ensure that the database that we are establishing actually has information.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so you mentioned it will take some time. In terms of dates, can you give us specific dates?
You mean
when can we begin to see, the rollout? When will it reach the rural areas?
Okay, what the whole exercise and based on NSO's experience on censuses and other surveys in the country, we have come up with a strategy that means that we will attend to province by province. So collection will take over a period of 12 months, meaning that once we open up Mendi office in February, we are aiming February for Prime Ministers to be the first to be registered as
so
part of this month. And then also we do the pilot, meaning that one of the districts in Southern Islands, which is Yalibupangi again, to do the pilot. Whilst doing that, we are also preparing for the actual rollout that will begin in mid-March, meaning that there will be teams going to Manus, there are teams going to KVN, New Island, there's teams going to Milim Bay, and teams going to Central. And of course, the teams already in Southern Islands will progress from there on. So actually, in the month of March, April, May, you will actually have 5 provinces actually doing a rollout. And we are training close to 600 data collectors will be part of it, but also to mention that Electoral Commission will be supporting us as part of the program. Mr. Kiragi's team will be manning the fixed collection offices in the provinces, and of course the other stakeholders such as the police and the churches are also part of this process. So we've tried in our efforts to ensure that the message to everybody is that this is about us. The people need to be registered and come forward to registration when the teams come in. So really that is what our task is now, is to encourage people to come forward and register.
Can you speak of the rollout, and obviously you will need trained individuals, trained team members to go out there. What type of training have you offered them?
Oh, in the last 3 months, with the assistance of the contractor, Huawei Technologies, we've trained close to about 350 personnel to date, and we have another 250. So that makes up 600 and more to about 800 with the inclusion of electoral commission guys.
Okay.
So this is the effort that we put in the last 3 months, and we are confident, very much confident that this expertise provided by Huawei has been now transferred to Papua New Guineans. And it's a plus for civil registry office, because these guys can be eventually also used in the provinces if they want to, or be recruited when they does its restructure, because training somebody over a short period of time requires commitment, and I'm really proud of the team that has made an effort. All stakeholders, civil registry office, my office, Huawei, the contractor, have come together and really made sure that we meet deadlines, and these deadlines have been achieved, and still till in the next 3 weeks we are also training the extras. So because the reason is that there'll be teams mobilizing and moving together and we need to go to every village. So going to every village recommends that these people are trained so that they can troubleshoot on the spot. But at the same time, we put into place ways of trying to address issues on the field. So that's basically what we think we need to put in place, and we have done it.
Okay. So you mentioned Huawei, and they're what's their role? Sorry, what's their role in this NID system?
Well, as the contractor by government, and they were appointed some time back in 2013 to help Papua New Guinea through Exim Bank loan with the government. So they're the only company we reckon in the world that has had the strengths and the resources and the know-how to develop this, and we're happy with the way they progress many of the things. You look at the National Data Center, or the card processing center, where Mr. Kiragi is going to move across to Kumur Road. It's in its completion now. So by end of this month, the building will be handed over to the government of Papua New Guinea. They've built a database that can hold close to 10 million population. So we're not talking about a small desktop that's going to be our laptops or whatever. This is a serious business. The issues of privacy, how we look after the data, how we manage the data. They're training people to do that. And for us, sustainability is important. Sustainability meaning resources to have manpower who know what they're doing, trained. So that's part and parcel of the project itself. So we're happy with the contractor doing this work. And as Papua New Guinea, we want them to do it in our context.
So you mentioned that the database that can store about 10 million plus, has that already been built?
Yeah, it's already built, it's ready. So that's why we are saying that the rollout will only commence when we have the infrastructure in the headquarters. And Mr. Kiragi is happy about the database was already developed, the software to do the registration. So many of the things is information communication technology. It's not anymore. Maybe when filling in the form, yes, but after that, it's all sending data through a website, or computer. So really, they're the ones who are building it, and we had an opportunity to also go to China to see it, including the minister itself. And for us, these are the driving forces behind our success to date. I must say, both our good minister who's driving us to make sure that everything we are talking about, and also the many integration that we look forward to in the near future.
So many villages in PNG, as I said, are in rural areas, inaccessible by roads. You have to get there by through rural land airstrips. How do you intend on going out there, reaching to the highlands, the islands?
What we have done is that we come back to the point of how do I get a person to register? And in our experiences in censuses, if you don't go to them, you don't collect their names. So this is the same approach, meaning that we will definitely require resources, funding to go out and conduct that registration. It means that the teams who are moving around with those 2 mobile kits will have to walk, unfortunately.
Sure.
But it's for the people, so they have to walk to remote. They'll spend time in their own dinghies traveling to the remote island. They will spend time on trying to register. So for us, it's about making sure that the 85%, I go back to the 85%, are collected before we come back into the accessible areas. So the strategy is to make sure that every team is allocated a workload, and they go and complete that work for a particular province. And once they complete, meaning that they have to strategize to get to that province either by vehicle, by walking, or if the plane or chopper needs to drop off, and they do cover it and come to a point to pick up. So this is like an operation. But again, the welfare of these people on the ground, collectors, are important to us, and we'll make sure that they are looked after in ensuring that they go to our people. So we want to set foot on every village to do registration, so that the ward councillor can report back to their people and say that yes, the team from Civil Registry NSO came and visited us. That's important to us. Yeah.
All right. So along that lines, on to statistics. The last population census was conducted in 2011, and even then it was deemed incomplete because of the household listing was deemed incomplete. How do you think that NSO can shift over to the NID system if it doesn't even have proper population statistics as a baseline?
Okay, let me go back to statistics in the country. It has been a concern of government. We are doing reforms in the NSO, but when I talk about censuses in the world, and I must make it clear, there is never a perfect census in anywhere. In US, they don't do censuses. What they do is they do a sample. In Japan also they do sample. In India, the biggest country like China, they still work on sampling to estimate their population. But because they have such a system, registry system, they know their population. So for me, we need to move forward. I know, but NSO, we are confident of the numbers that we had. In 2000, we had under enumeration of about 3%. And of course, we have a fair idea about also the 2011 one. So really in PNG, censuses have been under enumerations. The reason is that we haven't been able to get to the people that we want. But regarding the NID, this is a system where we're going to go out, collect, and people will be part of the database. So the next census might be cheaper, not like the one. And we need to look at ways and be innovative about how to do censuses better. I'll give you an example of one done that in Indonesia. The results of the census came out within 2 weeks, the preliminary, because they used technology. Every team that went and did accounts in the villages actually used the mobile to send back their updates every day to the census office, so that they were able to release and compile and give us the numbers. So I think that these are the type of things that NSO, ways of improving ourselves. And I think from the counts that we have, we are confident of the numbers that we have, and that is the only source of data to date. Unless you say there's another agency that's collecting, but we have to make do with what it's better to release the data, have the reports done, and then people can use it for their benefit. And I think for the last 4 censuses that we've conducted in NSO, we've delivered according to what. Maybe it's been delayed for the 2011, and however we've delayed it, and the analysis report will be out next month in March.
Okay, all right. So hopefully the NID system can.
Yes, the NID system for us is a kind of a very important component, because what's going to happen is every 6 months, Dixon will inform me that our system is because we are doing the counts every day. Every time a patient enrolls, meaning registers your beds or registers a deaths, it's a plus or minus on the population. And because these are 2 important vital events, because we are able to measure what they call natural growth on the population. So we're able to do that. So every 6 months, Dixon will release some numbers, and then we report to Parliament. So it's like we are counting our people every day, and we are informing the government every day if they want. But access to the system and all those, but the reporting mechanisms, NSOs to talk about the statistics is a plus for us. So future census will be cheaper. We can concentrate on other important information we want to collect. So that makes us the life of NSO much easier. And then because over time we'll be training more people, and people start to realize the importance of statistics.
Okay, so on to that, the NSO has recently criticized in the National Parliament for producing outdated statistics. Could you explain how the information collected from the ID system is expected to be released in a timely manner? Okay. And yeah.
So when we talk about timely, reliable, and quality statistics in the world of statistics, we make sure that there are different sources of data. So when you talk about the census data, we need to do planning 2 years prior to collecting the data. Sure. And then it's a 5-year cycle that we need to have in the whole package. And you can go to the UN on now they do censuses and what. And these are, for us, people should provide resources. And for NSO, we should prepare in advance, set ourselves, and get it done. And that means
when you say people, do you mean the government should provide
resources?
Yes,
government resources, meaning that we need to do this. In regard to statistics, different sources of data provide statistics for NSO to compile and to analyze the data. So, example, for civil registry, they will provide information on population, on deaths and beds. At the moment, we have no information coming from education. Maybe we were negotiating to discuss on able to work as partners to generate information on enrollment. Okay. On health, we are talking to them on trying to improve our relationship and talk on beds and deaths. So really, as part of the National Strategy for Development of Statistics, which include NID, is that stakeholders who are administering data, or what we call administrative data, needs to come out and say, okay, this is my data set, and you can use it for our purposes of generating timely statistics. Of course, reliability is something that we need to work on, especially it's a technical thing. So, but through this process, also through the NID, we're going to pull together a lot of agencies that are going to be partners to us in ensuring that we are sharing information. Sure. Civil registry is only getting about 8 variables that are going to be part of it. Okay. But what other information that can be shared among us, and for statistical office to use and say that, you know, the GDP, gross domestic product, we need to rely on information on the survey of business activities. Sure. That's from NSO, but we need to rely on customs to provide us some data, IRS to provide us some data. So we are working on them now, and this is part of the reform. Let's move forward with what we think is best for us, rather than going thinking about the past, because I think when we talk about progress, let's be innovative, let's talk about the smarter things that we can do, rather than going back to this issue of why didn't you do it properly. Yes, there's reasons for it, but I'd rather be talking about what is the next 5 years for any organization dealing with statistics.
So at this moment, as the as the national statistician, are you satisfied with the resources you have?
Honestly, I must say that not to my expectation, but as we progress, it's about saying, this is what I can do, given the resources you've given me. But another thing that goes back to NSO is I need to produce data with the minimum that is given, so I can showcase. But I'm happy that a lot of the stakeholders are starting to realize statistics is important. NID plays that, and it's a platform, as I said. If we can get this massive database operating effectively, efficiently, I'm able to just say, Mr. Kiragi, I want yesterday's population on PNG. So I'm able to tell the rest of investors, people who are dealing with health issues, if there's a flooding or cyclone, we're able to quickly respond to them and say, this is the number of mosquito nets that you need to provide for that particular, or tents for that particular disaster area. Because we have a database that is really updated. So for us, I'm satisfied with the support that they're giving us, but also must make mention of our many development partners. Because in statistics, we have a family that is out all there also. We have statistical offices around the world. We have a big statistical division in the UN system, which we seek assistance, especially technical wise. And at NSO, I'm building capacity, and also going to support NID, especially Mr. Kiragi's office, to ensure that we have the type of expertise that need to be part and parcel of the way forward in the next 5 years.
And that's all for Business PNG tonight. For more business news, or if you would simply like to view this episode again, visit MTV online at www.mtv.com.pg/business. Or to join the conversation, like our page on Facebook for daily business news, or follow us on Twitter at Business PNG using the hashtag Business PNG. Until next week, have a pleasant evening. I'm Leon Jurari, and this is Business PNG.